Well, hello, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into another live edition of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law. Fights. Saw the Gamez family yesterday, and they're just such great people, and I'm so thankful for their ongoing support of Pickup Lines. It is a Monday, and before we bring in our guests, just a couple of housekeeping reminders. For those of you who are coming on right now, thank you so much for being with us. Don't forget to share the video and help us expand this audience, especially today. I think you're really going to like the show today. I've acknowledged our sponsors on the post here, but let me give them a little bit more love. In the Helotes area there, Mia's Mexican Grill, Frank Salas and his team, just deliciousness every day of the week. And if you have not tried them out there at 1604 in Bandera, please do so. And when you go, let me know. Let me know what you've tried. Some people have already done that. I'd love to know that. And then Rudy's Flooring and Remodeling, Rudy Esquivel, again, who's done flooring in my house more than once, does amazing work. So I posted some bathroom remodel stuff the other day. Those of you thinking about doing something in your home, he's the guy to talk to. And brand new, within the last few days. Hi, Jeffrey Alvarado. Generations Federal Credit Union is on the team now, and I'm so grateful. We're just getting going, and so the planning is underway to do some amazing things, to have some nice content, and help people with their financial needs, whatever that may be in the coming days and weeks. So thank you, and a salute to Generations Federal Credit Union. Okay, well, without further ado, time for our guests to come in here. And this is one of the things I love about doing this show. I love doing this show because it allows me to reconnect with some people who I've crossed paths with over the years, including our guest. We're going to bring her in right now because the cold front has not arrived yet.
Right now?
No, come in because the cold front's not here yet. And I don't want Delaine Mathieu waiting outside in this heat anymore. If it were a week from now, I might have made you wait longer because there's supposedly a cold front coming.
Hi, everybody.
Look at this. TV ready already.
Really? I like that you got the AC on.
I can put it on higher if you want. If you want the like, dramatic hair.
Yes, like Beyonce.
There it is.
In concert.
You still got it, girl. Look at you.
Oh, my gosh.
So great to see you.
So great to see you, my friend.
Oh, my goodness. If you'd have told me 3 years ago that we'd both be out of TV news and we'd be sitting in the front seat of my car on Facebook Live, I would have had you institutionalized, I think. I wouldn't have believed it.
Life changes like that. Look, you can barely see me. Nothing ever changes.
No, let's do this.
See, you don't have the little booster seat for people like me. Like in the studio, we had the little box.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't lift your seat, but we won't judge.
No one needs to see from below.
That goes for me too, by the way.
Like,
and now I got to add a pillow to the. I got to add something.
The short peeps.
Okay.
No, but I'm sitting on my leg. I think that's fine.
All right. Well, don't let your leg fall asleep or anything.
Okay.
Then I don't want to be liable for that.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was just telling everybody that obviously, just having been separated from TV news for a little while and finding outlets and ways to just still be creative and not go insane and contribute and do something positive. That's what I love about this show. And you were easily one of the people that I wanted to get in the car at some point to visit. Because it's been a little while since you and I have talked, and it was one of those cases where we were like two ships in the newsroom. You'd come in, I'd see you, hey, Delaine's over there. Yeah. We never really, other than I know we did a couple of holiday river parades together.
Which was so much fun. You were...
Even the one in the rain, in the cold.
That was one for the record books. Yeah, we had horizontal rain, and I think it was like 32 degrees.
And they stopped the parade. This was on Black Friday several years ago.
Yeah.
You might recall. And they called the parade and then halfway through. Because it was getting dangerous.
Yeah, it was insane. And it was my fault because I was new to the show. I jinxed it. Why'd they have me on?
But anyway, but we've done okay for ourselves, I think, since then. And I think a lot of people would be interested to know. I mean, those of you who follow you on social media.
Yeah.
But to remind our viewers what you've been up to, how you're doing, those kinds of things.
I've been busy. First and foremost, my daughter was diagnosed with leukemia in January. So right away, immediately, what I do for a living now is a godsend because I was literally able to work from Indy Anderson's break room
in
Houston while she was getting treatment. I mean, I just wouldn't have been able to do that in news. I would have had to quit. So, because I was there full time. I mean, I was at the hospital with her and able to care for her and be there for her, and I'm eternally grateful for that opportunity to be able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
I've followed that journey, and you know where my heart is, because
Yeah.
obviously I have an experience with leukemia in my family. I'm
Yeah.
on the board for LLS here locally, and I've seen what blood diseases can do to people, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody ever. How is she doing now, and how are you doing? How's your family doing?
We are good. She is doing very, very well. She's responding to treatment beautifully, 100%. Like, zero cancer cells. And she is MRD negative, is what they call it. So she has been in remission. They got her in remission in like 2 to 3 weeks of being in the hospital. Like that. Remember, the doctors, sort of bounced in for their daily rounds, and I was like, so how's everything going? They're like, oh, she's in remission. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? It's just such a daily thing for them, and that was the goal in that initial stage when she was diagnosed and admitted into MD Anderson. That's the number one goal, is to get you in remission right away. If they can, then your prognosis is so much better than if they can't in that initial stage. So very blessed, so grateful that we were even able to get into MD Anderson so quickly. But she's part of a study, and she checked all the boxes for the study.
And she's so young.
She was 19 at the time. She's 20 now.
Okay,
Yeah.
but here's to many, many more years of health and happiness and all that.
Yes.
But you bring up a good point, because I was just thinking, my gosh, if you had to carry this burden, do everything you had to do, and then go on the air.
No.
Not that anybody ever wanted you to leave the TV station, but I don't know how you could have done that.
No, I couldn't have. There's no way I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
Not that I couldn't have.
For sure.
I would have left. So, it's just weird how life just, it always works itself out. No matter what happens to you, there's always a path to some light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm enjoying real estate. I'm doing well. I'm thriving, and my family's doing great. So
good for you.
We're trucking along.
You deserve all of that.
Thank you.
I want to get back to the real estate in a minute, because I know you paint and you root for the Texas Longhorns, who had a big win.
Oh my gosh!
A big win over the weekend against Alabama.
Woo! It's actually a blur, because I might have had a couple beers that night. So.
Well, you weren't the only Longhorn fan who did that.
Yeah.
But I wonder, aside from your daughter, how often do you go back to the TV time and what happened in that part of your life? Because I remember, from what I remember, it being coming the pandemic, and all that happened, and then you were gone, and it was just not a fun time.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How often do you go back there?
Not often. I've moved on.
Yeah.
I always said once I left I was done with TV news. I knew that I was nearing the end of my journey. I was turning 50 at the time, and I knew that things were probably going to be coming to an end. So I had already had the real estate sort of, plan to begin with a long time ago. So it was a smooth transition. But how it all happened, because everybody always wants to know, so what happened? Tell me. Well, I was laid off over Zoom, which isn't a bad thing. It's just how things were done. It was COVID, and it was. So yeah, I get a call, or I got an email. We have a meeting at 9 a.m. And when you get one of those, you're like, and I knew layoffs were really rampant in Sinclair at the time. So
right.
So here comes my call, and Ernie, I just said thank you so much for the years that you gave me, because they were good to me. They were really good to me.
Yeah.
Sinclair, it was good to me.
That's the parent company that owns the TV station.
They were. There was some hiccups along the way, but really overall they were really good to me. So I was not angry. I said thank you. I love you guys so much. I've been there for so many years, and that was the hardest part, was saying goodbye to the family. Your TV family. It's a special group of niche of
You're
people
so right
who
about
totally
that.
Understand. The only ones who understand what that industry is like, and really what it does to you on the inside, especially over a span of nearly 30 years.
You're so right about that.
Yeah.
But then, I went through this experience a few months ago when I chose to leave, so I was not laid off. But the point about just the separation anxiety, or the finality of that, you've walked away from that.
Okay, yes.
Or that it's over, and
yes.
And you're not beholden to the air times anymore, or the studio.
So it's bittersweet, because at one aspect I was saying goodbye to a very old best friend. Journalism. It's all I'd known since I was 16. It's all I wanted to do ever since I have my earliest memories.
Right.
And so I did it. You work so hard to get there and to be successful, and then you do it, and you're there for a long, long time, and saying goodbye to that in anybody's career. When you really build your career, saying goodbye to it was really, it was weird. It was difficult. There were a couple of days when I was on the floor because I was sad about that and leaving my TV family. But then I realized, you know what? It's time. It's time for a new chapter. We hang on to things so long, and sometimes, going outside of your comfort zone or outside of the box a little bit is scary, but completely necessary. And so when I saw you leave, I was like, okay, it's time. Something else, Ernie.
Yeah, and this, this is what I've come up with so far, and there's some other things,
fun.
but and I'm sure you experience this as well, because I sure have. The outpouring of support that people has been almost like incomprehensible to me.
Well, whenever I left news, yes, and then with Layla,
Of course.
I'm completely blown away. I still get prayergrams in the mail. These are handwritten prayers that I don't know how someone got my address, but they did, and I don't care. They come in the mail. They're yellow. They're bright. They're yellow, and I know exactly what it is when we shuffle through the mail, and it makes my day. It literally makes my day. So the support, like, this is San Antonio.
Right. And I've left this city once before, and I'm like, no, I'm not planning to do it again, because people were like, well, what about another market and go work and everything? And
what about that?
I don't, again, having left San Antonio once and I lived in Phoenix for a couple years, and Phoenix was great, but I just realized how much I missed San Antonio and this city and just all of it.
Do you want to get back into news?
I do miss it, and I would not rule anything out. I tell people years ago I stopped predicting the future, because I thought, oh, well, I'm going to do mornings for a couple of years, then I'm going to transition to this, and we're going to move over to this. But I remember distinctively I did sports.
Oh my gosh!
I did sports in the late '90s, and I came here. I came to San Antonio to do sports in '99, and I remember. And our Leslie Bowl, or whoever's watching, if she's watching, I remember looking at her years ago and saying, "Those people are crazy. I would never do mornings. They get up at whatever time and this and that." Well, then we had kids, and then the opportunity came, and you realize mornings aren't that bad after all. It's not a bad schedule. So I stopped kind of predicting. But to answer your question, it would have to be like a really good situation, a really good just fit, with the family and everything. Because thank goodness for this, because the microphone and the camera, like, this is what I like to do. The one thing I miss about the morning show is having interviews with people and talking to people. You have a co-anchor, and you can riff off each other, and the moments and everything. That I do miss. And you can do some of that here, but so you never know.
Well, I miss Beamer. I do miss
Randy Beamer.
I miss, because we had a really great time together up there.
I know you
set,
did.
and that got us into a lot of trouble a lot of times.
He's another one I got to get in this chair.
Yeah, you got to get him in here. He is really special in a lot of ways. He cares tremendously about this city, unlike anyone other than you.
No,
like I've ever seen. Like he lives and breathes San Antonio and adores it. Adores the people, the culture, everything about it.
This will not surprise you at all, because when I used to do mornings, I would come in at around 3:20, 3:30 in the morning. And it has to have been at least 100 times over the years. I would come in at 3:20, 3:30, and guess who would be sitting at his desk?
Randy Beamer.
Randy Beamer, who had been there since probably 1 o'clock or whatever the day before, had finished anchoring at 10:30 or whenever you got off the air, and was still there. And it's not like he left when I walked in. No. He would stay. Like, I'd go downstairs at 4:45 for the show, and he'd still be there.
Yeah, it was ingrained in his DNA. News is his thing, and he's still doing it. He's still doing a great job. He's got his show on KLRN, and he's doing what he loves to do. He's talking about things that matter to this city.
He didn't do documentaries. I ran into him not too long ago, and I know you're right. He's not getting rich off of it by any means, but he is doing exactly like he's where he needs to be.
He never cared about money. He never cared about money.
Yeah.
Never. And that was sometimes evident by his clothes when he'd come and anchor the newscast. We're like, all right, Beamer, we know you're going to afford like a badass suit. Why don't you wear one? Like, we'd be like 10 seconds before airtime, and I literally, like, I don't even know what would be like, you know, he's disheveled. Inevitably, whichever news director it was, you know, that given year would come in and say, Beamer, can you brush your hair? Like, here's a brush. Would literally hand him a brush. But he, you know, all of that was just, you know, I want to do the news. I want to write news. I want to shoot news. I want to, you know, be completely enveloped in this world that he absolutely adored and still does and is still killing it.
So many people over the years thought we had hair and makeup people that would make us.
I did in Miami. I did in San Antonio.
I did in Phoenix too. But not in San Antonio.
Well, Simone is in Washington D.C.
Simone d'Alba has landed.
Simone d'Alba. Okay. So let's just for a sec.
Okay.
Let's talk about Simone, because Simone came in right before I left.
I remember.
Poor thing. She was like, this, like, what's happening? You know, completely.
I remember.
Complete change. Grace, class, poise, intelligent. I mean, just really one of the kindest souls in the world, and so deserving of her success. She called me before she left for DC. She was like, I needed to call you, and I needed to talk to you and hear your voice and tell you that I absolutely admire you and respect you. And I thought that was just such a classy move. She is amazing. So I love you, Simone, and good luck in DC. You're going to be amazing.
No, and I'm with you. I talked to her. We exchanged messages, and similar that she's everything you just said. Like, just a little personal touch, and wish her all the best. Yeah,
she's a good human. But it made me think of her because she shot a picture of the makeup room. I think it's
I saw it
right?
in WUSA.
WUSA.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
She's like extremely excited about that aspect of the job, because that's awesome.
Yeah,
you're big time. Yeah.
Well, good for her. Yeah. So we were talking earlier about how you left and you transitioned. You had the real estate thing going, and I know you at some point took up painting. And you were doing big canvases, and I mean, you know,
slapping paint around is pretty much all I'm doing. But
how long have you been painting?
Not long. I started, really about COVID time. My mom was a painter and painted our whole lives. She was a jewelry designer, very creative. She was from Venezuela, and so I don't know. I just picked up the paintbrush one day, and I really enjoyed it, and I showed her. And before she passed away last year in January, and before she passed away, one of the most amazing moments of our lives together was sharing that moment of art. She was very proud of me that I'd picked up the brush. But I love it. I think it's a very good stress releaser. And I can spend hours and hours and hours unknowing how many hours have gone by just painting. I mean, it's amazing.
So how often, like weekly, once a week? Or
no, I haven't painted since February.
Oh, really?
But that's because, Layla's been going through a lot, and my business has picked up so much. It's really gotten busy, so I want to get back out there to the garage. It's also been 110 degrees.
Yeah,
and that's my
you
studio,
don't want to paint.
So.
But look, that was a great segue, and you know a thing or two about segues, because now we get into the real estate, and I didn't realize you had already had the wheels in motion for that. Mm-hmm. And I see properties that you list and everything like that, and you've been able to be very successful with that.
Yeah, I have a new listing that just went on the market today, private MLS. It is in Palacios. It's a big one, 6,300 square feet.
I know that area.
So, it's going really well. I'm really enjoying the whole interior design, fine architecture aspect of it. I've really always enjoyed that too. I made sure that the second half of my life would be something that mattered to me, on a more emotional level than anything else. And so I get joy out of it, and that's the only reason I do it.
How did being on TV and the news career help, or I can't imagine that it hindered you, but that you would see people or clients and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, it's Delaine!"
Yeah,
that
my first client. I showed up at, for the listing appointment. It was my very first. I was so nervous. I walk in and I sit down and I give him my whole spiel, and he was like, "Wow, that really makes sense to me. You're really good at this. How long have you been doing it?" And I said, like 2 months. And he goes, "What'd you do before?" And I said, "Well, I used to be on the news at Channel 4. And he looks at me and it just clicks.
It connected.
And it's funny because, I guess people just don't see the same person in person as they do on TV. First of all, I'm sure I look a lot taller on TV.
I've gotten that several times just since I've left.
Yeah.
And the other thing is people are surprised at how down to earth we are, and that we respond to our own social media messages. We don't have a staff of interns or highly paid assistants.
Want anybody
no, I wouldn't either.
It.
But that, and I know not every journalist or anchor person is like that necessarily, but I know I can speak for the two of us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for someone to stop what they're doing during the day and say something nice or even not nice, I think it bears. I think it's important to say hello and thank you. And to respond.
Very good. We have a few more minutes here with Delaine Mathieu. I could go on for another hour or so, but your family would wonder what happened to you. And then, so your girls, I know you talked about Layla already. Your other daughter,
Malia.
How old is she?
So Malia's 17.
She's okay.
She's at Johnson High School. She is doing really well. She wants to be an architecture major, and she wants to go to UT and possibly A&M.
Oh, okay.
So, Dad is freaking out right now because, he played football at Texas.
Her husband played football for the UT Longhorns.
Yeah, well, he was a walk-on.
He played football for the UT Longhorns.
He played, but so it's strange in the house right now because she's applied to both schools.
If your daughter goes to Texas A&M, I mean, your husband will.
He'll deal. He's an architecture engineer major, or a structural engineer major,
right?
And so he's just so proud that she wants to go into a similar field because Layla is also an engineer major. None of them want to be a journalist. They thought about it at one time, and they're like, "Nah, we're all good."
I have a high school senior at home myself, and we're having those conversations right now about A&M, UT, whatever. All that stuff. And so
how do you feel about being at home now? I mean, because
quality of life. The quality of life, it's unquestionable. It's a better quality of life if for no other reason I get to sleep until 7 a.m. now or 7:30 as opposed to 2:30. I just didn't realize at the time, like I knew I was tired. I didn't realize how tired I was all those years.
Yeah.
Because people would ask, did you get used to the schedule? And I'm like, not in 17 and a half years I never got used to it. And you're always tired. And the other day, I woke my kids, just obviously started the school year, and I got up and I made them pancakes. And they were like, oh my gosh. Not that my wife never made pancakes in 17 years when she took them to school, but the fact that I was sitting there in the kitchen flipping pancakes on the griddle, and they were just this is so great.
I know. I mean, you're present.
Here's another one. Dallas Cowboys played last night on Sunday Night Football. That's the first time in probably 20 years without having to take a day off.
Yeah.
But I got to stay up and watch the whole game.
Wow.
Without and that might sound silly to some people, but it's those little things like that.
Because that's a normal life. In normal life, people get to we all get to do those things. But in this industry, you can. I had that schedule for many years. I was morning anchor in Miami.
Yeah.
And so, we'd get there. I think I'd wake up at like 2:30. Fly in the door, like barely enough time to put makeup on.
Right.
And so that first 30 minutes of the newscast, you look like hell.
Oh, for sure.
And then you can go back to the break room or to the makeup room and, reapply
during
and
weather,
add another
you're over
layer.
there. Yeah. You see our transition from 5 into 6 and 7.
Yes.
And it's gosh.
And then watching movies, something simple as watching movies. Like people,
for sure.
My husband used to get so angry because on a Friday night we'd rent a movie.
Oh yeah,
back in the days when you rent a movie, and then first 5 minutes I'd be gone.
Oh, for sure.
So it's different now. I feel so rested. And remember, in TV news, I don't know if a lot of people know this, we're not allowed to take vacation days in February, May, July, or November.
Sweeps.
Ever. Sweeps. And so one of the first things that I did was travel immediately. Whenever I wanted. I went with my husband. We traveled together, for his work. I would go on office trips with him, and so it was just, it was a different way of life, and I really enjoyed it.
I mean, there's no question that I loved it, but you're right. Looking back on it, it's just what a crazy time.
Crazy.
And
it was fun.
Call me crazy. I would consider it again if the right opportunity came along. I don't know, but it would be hard now knowing the ability to do like a show like this and have the quality of life with the kids and everything. Because again, my oldest will be leaving, theoretically leaving home next year.
So this is important quality time.
It's very important quality time. So we'll see. What else do you have up your sleeve?
Well, I think real estate's gonna be my thing no matter where I move. We may not stay in San Antonio.
Really?
Because once my daughter graduates high school, we can do anything we want to do.
Yeah.
So we may go north, Colorado.
Do you have family time, or do you have any?
Just the mountains.
Just colder and mountain time.
I have 2 sets of clients who are both leaving Texas because of this summer, and it pretty much did a lot of people in. It was horrible.
They're probably
horrible
not the
summer.
only ones. I mean, I've been to Colorado a couple times,
Yeah,
and I can
might
understand.
be Colorado.
But you can do the real estate over there,
Or Tennessee.
I've never been to Tennessee. I don't think I've ever been to Tennessee. I've heard so many great things.
You have to go to Nashville. Nashville's fun. But there's some it's beautiful there, and relatively cool during the summers. It's not as bad as this. So,
yeah.
I might go there.
Yeah. Okay, so then if TV station X comes calling in a week, 2 month, Delaine.
Yeah. Is it anything but news? If it's anything but news, then maybe.
Well, like lifestyle. You would do lifestyle.
Real estate. A real estate show. I would absolutely
Please tell me that your bosses have you doing something on camera with your...
Oh, well, I do. Okay. I'm the boss.
Oh, well then, as I said, you're a very smart boss.
I like to do what I call real estate storytelling. And
Perfect.
That's when you really dive into certain features of the home that make it unique, that might appeal to buyers long distance.
Yeah.
So those videos are long form, and they get shot out to everywhere, across the globe, really, in some instances.
But that's so great, because there are plenty of great realtors out there, obviously.
Sure.
But not all of them can have the camera presence that you have.
I mean, that's where, still photography is not where it's at anymore. People have moved. It's shifted. Marketing for real estate has really shifted to social media. But, I'm kind of old school. I don't like the 15-second videos. I do them. They're necessary. They have a place, on social media. But I don't like it because you really can't get into what makes, they look all the same to me. So that's why I like to do things a little differently.
Flip through all those reels and everything, and they
kind of blend.
Yeah.
But like I said, they have a place, and they are necessary. They kind of give you like a little taste of what the house looks like.
But I think you and I are wired similarly. We like this. We like the long form. Let's just talk and tell stories.
Talk forever and ever.
And ever.
If I had my way really in journalism, if I were to do it all over again, I think I would have gone into documentary making.
Randy Beamer, where are you?
Yes, cold case stories. I mean, the Emmys I have that I've won were for long form cold case stories. And you can just really kind of get your teeth sunk into the storyline and really get into the meat of the story and help people in a way that you can't, with a minute and a half story.
Spend more than, like you said, half an hour on something and really...
Hour.
Oh, gosh. Those deadlines.
You just let it breathe and just let the story just evolve as it's supposed to.
Yeah.
That's dreamy to me.
All right.
Good to catch up with you.
It's so great to catch up again. I could go on, but we have other things to do, and my kids need to be picked up from school, and it's just about 2:30.
Oh my God! The client's called me 5 times.
That's it. Look, I'm costing her money. I'm already costing her money here. The great Delaine Mathieu. Please follow her on her social media for the real estate, the painting, and obviously, if you know somebody that's in the market to buy or sell a home.
Or call him, and then he'll comment.
And then I get like a
referral fee,
gift card or something.
Yeah.
It's so great to see you.
So
this is just good. It's good for my soul.
I'm so glad you're happy.
I'm getting there. This certainly helps right here.
That's good.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, there you have it. Another episode of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Fights. Please follow Delaine on all of her social media. And until next time, have a great day.
Bye, everybody.